Hello, everybody. You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Make sure to check us out, by the way, on our website. That's noogaradio.com. You can get access to our YouTube page, our Twitter page, and our Facebook page as well. We'd love to hear any of your thoughts and ideas. And we're going to open the show today. We have a guest on the phone line. He is the head coach of the Chattanooga Eagles. They're part of the Gridiron Development Football League, and they've already started their season this summer. And so I want to talk to him about what that all is about. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me on here.
I'm doing pretty good. So the Gridiron Development Football League, Chattanooga Eagles, what are you guys about?
Man, the GDFL is, has brought so much attention to the name of, to the name of football. And, you hear about the high school guys that get the opportunity to go play college ball, and even the college ball kids that get the opportunity to go play at the next level. We're kind of sitting there right in the middle. We have some pipelines to the outside leagues, some colleges as well. But, man, most of the time we just want to get these guys out there to play and give them another shot. There's a lot of local talent, especially in the Chattanooga and North Georgia areas, man, that just get overlooked. We want to give those guys another chance to play and, give back to our city. The city of Chattanooga has been so good to us, and we want to give Chattanooga a chance to be proud of something, put their name on it. That's why, on our jerseys, we have Chattanooga across our chest. So it's a really big deal to our guys. We want to represent the city well.
And I like that you guys are supporters of local sports in that way. And
Sure.
Especially when you talk about guys that end up getting passed over, a lot of times when players are developing, they don't make their high school team or they don't make the team in college. A lot of times you just end up being behind developmentally because you're smaller when the other kids are trying out, and you end up falling further and further behind. So getting that second chance is huge. How did you guys go about starting that here in Chattanooga?
We actually just started looking around a couple leagues and got together with a couple of my staff guys, and we want to go big. We don't want to play in the smaller leagues that you don't really have an outside shot of getting another opportunity. And that's no disrespect to the other leagues around here, but when we started searching around, the number one thing that kept popping up was the GDFL. And we started doing some research and noticed that they had 2 or 3 guys actually in the NFL, one that's starting for the Saints now. And they sent a couple guys to the Arena League and the Canadian Football League as well. So when we first started, we were like, well, let's do it big. Let's go all the way. Let's get these guys out there. Let's get some film and, see what happens. So that was our number one goal of, the developmental side. We want these guys to get looks.
That's pretty cool. I believe the player that made it to the Saints, his name is Dustin Breaux, I want to say.
Yes, sir. He was number 40. He actually started corner for them.
Oh yeah. So that is a pretty cool deal. It's a pretty big deal. I didn't realize how big it was. I was on the website. The website, by the way, is gdfl.org. I was on the website, and there are a lot of teams in this league. A lot of traveling happens. How does all of that stuff get organized?
Well, it's an 8-game season plus the playoffs. 4 home games, 4 away games. So I think the farthest team from our location would actually end up in Oklahoma. Luckily, right now they're not on our schedule to play in the regular season. But when the schedule comes, it can be anywhere from traveling to Oklahoma to traveling to Nashville. We just got back from Macon, Georgia last weekend, put off a really big upset win from there. And the team coming in this week to play us this Saturday, actually, they are from Tampa Bay, Florida. So we look, that's just another step in the developmental process. When you play teams around here and get used to them, it just kind of gets repetitive. But when you see these teams from out of town, and it's amazing, man. It's a really, really fun experience. I love the traveling aspect. I love home games. Don't take me wrong. I love getting in front of the city. But away games, man, you just load up with our 45 guys and head down to wherever we have to go and call it a trip, man. It's a really good time.
You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose. We are on the phone with Hayden Cole, the head coach of the Chattanooga Eagles in the GDFL. You have a lot of players. I'm sorry, Hayden Clark. I don't know why I have that down there.
Oh, you're fine.
You guys have a lot of players in a very wide age range. How do you make sure that the different players get the coaching that they need, respective to their age?
Yeah, you know, that's probably that's a really good question. That's probably the hardest part about my staff's job is the fact that I think the oldest guy on the staff for us is 27 years old, and our youngest, I think I actually might be the youngest. We were talking about that on the way home last week from Macon. We actually have a couple players that are older than us, so that gets challenging at times. But the guys have done a really good job of buying in. They trust what we're doing, and that's because I think that's a really good reason. Is that we give them, we give them that leeway of, us being coaches as well and possibly being friends at the end of the day. But whenever we all come ready and come to practice and come to football games, it's a different mindset, man. Like those guys, they really look into us, they respect us, they trust us, and I truly believe they're willing to run through a brick wall for us.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool, man.
How do the tryouts work? How do you make this roster?
Well, this year we actually didn't have a tryout. We just kind of opened it up and got really promoted it through Facebook and word of mouth. Next week or next year we will have to have a tryout because our numbers, like I'm getting text messages and emails all over the place of people still wanting to come out and play. And it's just like, oh, man, we can't have it this year. We just played our first game last week. So we'll have a tryout in November of 2017, and then we'll go from there, man. I think the roster size is cut off at 53. Right now we actually have 44 official on our roster. So we'll be able to pick up a couple guys next year and go to war with them.
So I want to know a little bit more about you, Coach. How did Hayden Clark wind up here? What's some of your coaching background?
I played at South Jersey High School, graduated in 2010. I had a couple of things not go my way and didn't end up getting to play in college. So I never wanted to lose my dream of playing football, and a lot of that came to do with my brother. My brother was born with Down syndrome in 1997, and he always drove me to do, excel the expectations. And ever since then, I knew I wanted to stay in the game. I knew I wanted to coach. So when I was 19 or 20, I called up one of my high school coaches, and I was like, I want to get into coaching. I want to do anything it takes to get into coaching. So E.K. Slaughter, who is now at Heritage High School, gave me my first chance to coach. I coached with him 2 years at Red Bank High School, and then I actually made the transfer with him to Heritage High School and coached there with him for a year. The only reason I didn't hang it up in high school, but I had to step away from the high school level, was I had to finish my schooling. My parents have been pressuring me really hard in getting that, so I had to step away from the high school level and finish my school. And while that was all going on, I kept praying that things would play out, and then this just kind of fell into my lap. I got with a couple of my friends, and I was like, let's see what we can do. So then we just kind of started talking to people, started calling people, and just ended up, man. We really excelled. All my staff does a great job, and it literally fell into our lap. It really did.
I mean, that sounds like an incredible journey. I'm happy for you that everything's working out so far. We're on the phone with Hayden Clark. He's the head coach of the Chattanooga Eagles in the Gridiron Developmental Football League. And what's your coaching philosophy? Are you an offensive guy? Are you a defensive guy? How do you approach the game?
I definitely like to consider myself an offensive guy. I like throwing the rock around and having a good time. I'm definitely an offensive-minded guy, though.
All right, because you beat the Georgia Crush last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
8-6. Had a pretty good rushing game. What's the strength of your team?
The strength of our team is definitely the defense. My defense coordinator, Austin Elrod, he does an amazing job with those guys. But I'm telling you, man, I have never been around. I've never been around a defense like what we have right now. They're incredible. They fly to the ball. They're mean. They're big. They're fast. I wouldn't want to run into them in a dark alley for sure.
I hear that. So what's the process of developing players? Like, how do you identify what needs a guy has so that, if he ever does move on and go somewhere else, he can be successful elsewhere?
We just try to develop the biggest thing in our program. Obviously, you want to make it to the next level, no matter what it is you do. But the biggest thing in our program is we want to be better. We want to be better men. We want to be a good father. We want to be a good family man, all that good stuff. So I like to think, that's another one of our philosophies. I like to think that the better you do off the field, the better you'll do on the field. So the more you work towards being a good father, a good man, the better you'll do on the field, and things will just happen the way they're supposed to happen. So, developing isn't, I'm not going to say it's not a, I guess we don't really stress it, but we stress the small stuff. We stress, just doing the right thing and letting things take place.
Fair enough. Where can people find you online, social media, and?
I'm on Facebook. You can look at my name. It's Hayden Clark, and then our actual team Facebook is it's a page, and it's Chattanooga Eagles football. And then we also have a website. You can visit that at www.chattanoogaeagles.com. And there's ways to message me and text me and all that good stuff on there. So we would love to have people respond. We have our first home game this week. We'd love to have you guys out. So look forward to it.
Absolutely. Who are you going to be playing this week and when?
We play the Tampa Bay Warriors. It should be a really good matchup. Both teams, they're newer to the league. Both teams coming off really big wins. So it should be a lot of fun.
Okay. And you were playing over at Central High School, correct?
Yes, sir. Central High School is 7:30 p.m.
All right. I look forward to seeing you there. That sounds absolutely exciting. How many people come out to these games, or how many have you seen so far?
That was another one thing we were kind of concerned about is how many people actually come to these football games. You hear a grown man playing football, it's just like, I don't really want to go watch that. But we actually traveled really well, man. We went up to Macon last week, like I said, or down to Macon, and we took like 50 fans with us down there, and it was awesome. So the sky's the limit on what we pack out in the house. I'm hoping to have it at least the home stands packed. So I'd love to have at least 500 or 600 there.
All right. Well, we're going to do our part to get the word out there for you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Like football in Chattanooga, especially in the summertime, like there's not a whole lot else to watch. Like you've got the lookouts, and if you don't have the lookouts, there isn't really much for you to see. And so, like this to me is I find particularly exciting. So
yes, sir.
When you talk about where this team can go, what is your expectation for the season?
My expectations for the season, we want to take it step by step. So each game is a stepping stone to get to the playoffs. I definitely think we're a playoff contending team. Like I said, the sky's the limit. The only person that can stop us is us. We have a long way to go. It's a long season, so we just want to play it game by game. And I definitely think you'll see us in the playoffs this year.
Looking forward to it. This is Coach Hayden Clark. He's the head coach of the Chattanooga Eagles at the Gridiron Developmental Football League. You can find him to search Hayden Clark on Facebook. You can look up other things about the GDFL if you go to gdfl.org. And the Eagles play their first home game of the season at Central High School 7:30. Be there. Coach, thanks for joining us on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me. Y'all have a blessed day.
You as well. So that's going to be an absolutely fun situation. I'm very excited about that. Saturday night, come out and see it. I mean, what else are you doing? Football to me, especially in the summer, like the idea of summertime football is exciting in a way, because like I've told you this before, because I'm fairly transparent on this show about how things work and what is difficult and what is easy to do on this show, right? Like LeBron James had a monster game last night. I could easily just show up and just talk about LeBron for 2 hours and leave. It would be easy. It would be incredibly easy. But one of the things that's difficult in sports radio is summertime, okay? If you don't live in one of those cities where baseball is king, summertime is a rough patch in the year. You got to find something to talk about. Well, this is something that's very, very easy to talk about, and it's local. You can support guys that have played in high schools and colleges in the area that are looking to try and make that leap to the next level. And this is a league that has provided opportunities for guys to play in the NFL, in Canadian football, in European leagues, in arena football. So what have you got to lose on that? You know, like that's something that I hear often, is that people, you live in Chattanooga. Chattanooga is, I think, rather unfortunately located, in as much as you're not really that close to Atlanta. You're not really that close to Nashville. And that's where all of these sort of major sporting teams are. And if college football is not happening, what are we doing here? And even then, we're far enough away from Knoxville for it to be annoying, right? Like all of the major teams in this area that people root for, the Braves, the Falcons, the Hawks, the Predators, the Titans, they're just out of arm's reach. And here we are. We have a team in our area, the GDFL. I'm on the website right now. I have it pulled up on my computer. It looks absolutely legitimate. The website's laid out very nicely. There are updates for other things happening around the league, so you don't just end up with this sort of insular view of what's happening. You get to know what's happening with the other teams around the league, so you can understand where you are record-wise. There's a schedule, so you know when the Eagles play next. There's no downsides to this whatsoever. None. So, first home game, Saturday night, they play the Tampa Bay Warriors. They're 1-0 so far. So, 7 more to go. And I encourage everybody to go on out and be there. I've got an interesting show today, because I'm going to revive the bat flipping debate. It's a debate that never goes away. I feel like everybody's got an opinion on whether or not you ought to flip bats. I'm bringing it back. It's here. It's here again because Jose Bautista flipped his bat. The great sin of baseball. And now all the Atlanta Braves are mad at him. And I don't have any sources on this. This is just a gut feeling, but they're probably going to fight now. That's my guess. Is there going to be some level of retaliation involved? Someone's getting hit with the baseball, and a fight will ensue. Granted, you would have thought that Jose Bautista would have learned his lesson the last time that a fight broke out that involved him, seeing as how it ended with him being punched in the face. It ended with him being punched in the face. He got hit in the face so hard his helmet popped off. And the man who punched him in the face was named Rugned Odor, which is the fightingest name ever. I was actually shocked that man was a baseball player. I thought he might have been some kind of MMA fighter. Rugned Odor? That's not a baseball name. You know what I mean? Mickey Mantle is a baseball name. It sounds majestic and above the rest of us. Rugned Odor? Rugned Odor sounds like a guy who fights in street cage matches. That's what that sounds like. And Jose Bautista flipped his bat and made Odor angry, and that resulted in him being punched in the face. So you would think that Jose Bautista would have gotten beyond making people angry, but no, he angered all the Atlanta Braves last night. Every single one of them. Because it wasn't just a bat flip. It was a pretty righteous bat flip at that. He put a little oomph behind it. So Jose Bautista and the bat flip and bat flipping etiquette, we'll get into that later in the show, as well as the UFC. It's losing its focus. And we talked about this with NASCAR yesterday. If you're a lead, you've got to know who you are. Keep focused. Clutch with Keon Rose at AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
A SWAT team was called out to Highway 58 in response to a domestic dispute and a shots fired call. Cops say a man retreated into his home and refused to come out, and that's when the SWAT teams and negotiators were called in. CPD public information officer says nobody's in danger and the businesses are not affected. Unsanctioned counterfeit currency appearing in Dunlap. The Dunlap police report that $20 and $10 counterfeit currency appearing on the streets of Dunlap. The Chattanooga Police Department will be performing compliance checks on different businesses around the area to make sure they card individuals to make sure they're 21 before buying drinks. Chattanooga police say a car traveling southbound on Hale Street lost control and turned over, rolling on its side. It took both the volunteer fire department and the Hamilton County EMS to get the driver out of there and extricated. He was taken to the hospital afterward. The extent of his injuries not yet released. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Staying quite warm and humid out there through your nighttime hours. A lingering shower or storm still possible for a while, lows upper 60s. For Friday, a few isolated morning showers and storms. Otherwise, still very warm and humid, highs upper 80s, mainly dry and hot on Saturday, highs of around 90. Do you have a pesky tree that needs to be removed around your home or business? Call Paul Bunyan Tree Service now at 423-421-2104. That's 421-2104. And I'm Source 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr on Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Need windows? Hey folks, do you need new windows? Good news. Window Depot of Chattanooga has a great special going on right now. 10 high-quality, energy-efficient double-hung vinyl windows installed for only $29.90. That's right, 10 double-hung vinyl windows, only $2,990. And yes, they qualify for the TVA rebates. Call 894-0011. Window Depot of Chattanooga today, located at 5950 Shalford Road. Call 894-0011 today.
If I'm the city's most intelligent man, it's because I take 2 shots of Mind Enhancement Complex every day. Nature's Finest keeps me stocked with my mainstay, Formula 4. That's where I start. Formula 4. Industrial farming, soil depletion, mineral empty food. I just say no. Ask about supplements, health, stamina, circulation, heart, prostate under control. Get the Nooga Radio David Tulis freebie. Save $2 on every 5. 20% off. Nooga Radio, Lee Highway, Nature's Finest.
The American dream. Home ownership. Are you building equity for your landlord? Why not build that equity for yourself and your family? Rent No More is a no obligation, no cost program. It's designed to teach you the steps necessary and to coach you all along the path to home ownership. Integrity Mortgage Group is owned and operated by local expert Jeff Woody Woodburn. Jeff has been in the mortgage business for over 15 years. Born and raised right here in the Chattanooga area. Jeff is also known as the Lone Ranger. He's helped countless hundreds. Really eager to help you too. So don't wait. Come on, call Danielle right now. You need to reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Hey, Nooga Radio is proud to partner with Integrity Mortgage Group to bring you Rent No More. Reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Stop building equity for your landlord. Live the American dream. Home ownership with Rent No More. We'll see you there.
I have the best steak selection in town. The name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
He stole out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis, you know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling, Rick's buying. Cash, 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 and more cash. And now a mountain of cash catching the Hollywood spotlight. You know where it is. Brainerd Road. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Cash, 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 and national TV cash. That's really big. Everyone wants to see it. Money flying out the door. Rick Davis is America's jeweler. It's better than Hollywood. It's right here. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Brainerd Road.
You love me. You really love me.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern. The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
So, my man, Jose Batista, he's an interesting guy. He's an interesting guy because you can't defend Jose Batista on any moral level. You can't. Jose Batista loves being the jerk way too much. Like, there's no reason for him to anger as many people as he does, except Jose Batista likes to win. Jose Batista likes to let you know that Jose Batista is winning. And Jose Batista likes to say no to all of your sacred baseball rules as he stomps all over this unwritten book that we call the Unwritten Rules of Baseball. And I don't have a problem with him doing that on a larger level. I just can't defend anything that he does morally because Jose Batista does not care that he is wrong morally. He doesn't. And he hasn't learned his lesson, right? Which, again, you would think that being punched in the face would be the lesson that that man needed to learn. But no, Jose Batista is not learning no lessons. He's not interested in learning lessons. Jose Batista is interested in destroying your emotions, right? Jose Batista is largely interested in ultimately rubbing your nose in the fact that he is better than you. That is what Jose Batista is largely interested in. And so he flipped a bat in last night's game versus the Braves, and he flipped it with a lot of oomph. You know, I give that bat flip an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 bat flip. He you do it to hurt the guy's feelings. You know, whoever the pitcher is, he hit a homer. He flipped the bat, and then went around the diamond. And with Jose Batista, he goes around the diamond. He doesn't just go around the diamond, right? He flips the bat. He stares people down. Like he is about intimidation. He is about making sure that you understand that he is better than you on every single level. Now, the bat flip controversy comes back every time someone flips a bat and pisses off somebody else, because we're never going to see eye to eye on this, right? A lot of the Latin American players flip the bat. You play baseball. If you give up a homer to me, expect me to celebrate in some particular kind of way. It is happening. You cannot avoid it. Okay, they do this. In America, and I don't know exactly when it was in America that we decided that you don't get to celebrate, but the opposite is true. The sort of act like you've done this thing before. Do that. Now, I've never been an act like you've done this before kind of person. Okay? Because there's only but a small window in your life where you will be mashing home runs out of a ballpark. And anytime you do that, to me, that feels like a special occasion. You are doing something that most people in the world cannot do, which is crush homers out of a major league ballpark, okay? That's everybody in the major leagues that has a chance to do that. Some of the minor league guys that have a chance to do that. And then a lot of these other baseball leagues around the world that have a chance to do that. Out of 7 billion people, most people will never understand how good that feeling is, right? They just will not ever understand it. Anytime you can do that, that's a special occasion worth celebrating. And if you can't flip a bat over that, I don't know what you can flip a bat over. But I understand. In America, we just decided all of a sudden that's not a thing that we do. We do not flip bats. We do not celebrate. If you hit a home run, we want you to go around the baseball diamond like some kind of unfeeling machine. Act like you've been here before. My thing is this, and it's sort of a twofold thing. When it comes to celebrating in sports, why is it that baseball has the monopoly on uptight obtuseness? And why are we okay with it? Right? Because we're not as mad about it in football. Like some people don't like the dancing in the end zone, right? Cam dabbed for a while and nobody was interested in the dab, even though it was fun. It was all in good fun. Everybody had fun celebrating. I thought it was cool. It was a good run that they had. No. We won't allow Cam to do that. No celebrating that way. But largely people don't have a problem with that. You know, guy picks up a first down in the NFL, shows you the first down sign, or Gronk spikes the ball or whatever. Like, we don't have a problem with you expressing your emotions in that sport. Guys dunk in the NBA. Maybe you finish through contact and you've got a lot of flexing going on. Guys smacking the bicep because too strong or whatever it is. There's a lot of trash talking that goes on. We don't have a problem with it in that sport. We don't. You win a NASCAR race, you're doing donuts after the race. No one has a problem with you doing that. Like, baseball's the one sport where somehow celebrating is just something you can't do it. We don't like it when you celebrate. You celebrate too much, and we're going to get revenge. We're coming after you. I don't know how it is that baseball ended up with the monopoly on that, but baseball is wound up very much with the monopoly on that. So, like, that's one level of it. And then the second level of it is, why are we okay with it? Why are we okay with pitchers being upset with guys walking across the mound or flipping the bat or staring at anybody in particular? Why is that fine that people make such a huge deal about this? Because I've always felt this way with sports. If you don't want somebody to celebrate dominating you, don't allow them to dominate you. It's about that simple. If you don't want somebody to dominate you entirely, do not allow them to dominate you entirely. I don't understand what the problem is, right? You don't want Jose Bautista to flip his bat after a home run. Don't give up a home run. You don't want Cam celebrating in the end zone. You don't want to see the dab or whatever it is that he's doing now. Don't give up the touchdown. Play better. Or at the very least, get the other guy to play worse. Like, if you don't want people celebrating on you, don't allow them to score on you. I mean, this is not hard. They even allow you to celebrate in soccer, and soccer is a sport we don't like. You won't let people celebrate in baseball? Hitting a home run, I imagine, though I don't know, because I've never hit one before. Not even like a beer league situation. And I didn't even make my high school baseball team. I tried out, but it was not even close. I imagine that's a great feeling. That has to be one of the top exhilarating feelings in life, is hitting a major league home run. Why on earth would you not celebrate that? Why on earth would that be something that you could not celebrate? I just don't follow the logic on that one. And it's crazy to me because it's all older people that I hear from that say that is classless. How dare a guy celebrate scoring? It's absolutely classless. But these are also the same people that get down on millennials and say, hey, you guys come from a generation in which everybody got a trophy. Everybody got a trophy for participating, which I assure you is not a thing that happened. I have no participation trophies that I own. I lost lots of things. I've never gotten a participation trophy in my whole life. As I mentioned before, I did not make my baseball team. They didn't let me on the team. And also, I tried out for every other sport, football, basketball too. I did not make these teams because I was short, scrawny, and unathletic. Where was my participation trophy? I didn't get one of those. But if you're going to be down on people for participation trophies, then fine. But then you have to acknowledge that people will celebrate when they beat you. Like, if a winner is a winner and you want to reward winning, then the winner gets to dictate what the winner gets to do, which means he's going to celebrate because he won, because he beat you in a matchup, because you're the pitcher, he's the hitter, and he just hit a home run and you couldn't stop it. So now he's going to flip his bat. And you're just going to have to stand there and deal with it. And if you really don't want to see another bat flip, don't give up another homer. Right? Like, that's not hard. I play pickup basketball, and I play with a group of really good guys. There's not a whole lot of trash talking going on. But every now and then someone gets fired up. If you don't want someone celebrating on you, there's a good way to stop it. It's called defense. If you don't want to see it, stop it. And if you can't stop it, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe find a different job. Your job is competitive sports. I have a suggestion here. In your job of competitive sports, how about competing? Maybe not so much complaining that someone else is celebrating. How about competing? How about going out there and trying again, and this time maybe deciding to yourself, Jose Batista's not going to hit a home run on me. But instead, what we're going to probably wind up with is somebody's going to hit Jose Batista with a baseball the next time he's up to hit, right? It's going to be a pitch that is not even disguised as a pitch. It's just going to straight up hit him. And then either Jose Batista is going to charge the mound or some version of that. And then we're going to have a fight that breaks out. And then possibly Jose Batista gets punched in the face again. And maybe he learns not to piss off people this time. But I don't know if you've seen Jose Batista play baseball. He likes it. He enjoys it. It's probably never going to stop. The bat flipping is probably never going to stop. The staring people down is probably never going to stop. He's been pretty unapologetic about it so far. There is no reason to believe that this stops. You want to stop Batista, stop him from scoring. However it is that you have to do that. And if he's just better than you and gets to score, then guess what? He's just better than you and he gets to celebrate scoring. I don't have a problem with this. I don't like the sort of sanitation of sports where you're taking away people's ability to express themselves. I do appreciate some level of restraint. Like the NFL scaled back celebrations. And I am a person that I have almost no problem with celebrating And I thought that the NFL celebrations were getting out of hand, right? You had people with shirts with messages on them. You had Sharpies being hidden under pylons. You had pom-poms being stolen from cheerleaders. You had popcorn being taken from fans. You had cell phones being tucked away in socks. It was out of hand. The football celebrations of the late 2000s, they were out of hand. I will readily acknowledge this. But I feel like the NFL is not legislating that so much to stop guys from showing up the other team, just so much from the standpoint of it became a distraction. It became a distraction from the game itself. And as we know about the NFL is about buying into the game, buying into the brand, buying into the logo, buying into the teams, not so much the players and the individuals, of which you got way, way, way too much of individual personality being shown in a lot of these celebrations. So I get what the NFL was doing there. When you look at what is happening with baseball and a lot of these unwritten rules, which, by the way, if they're so important, just write them down. Somebody has to. Baseball players get so mad over the weirdest stuff. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. So, yeah, if a fight breaks out between Jose Bautista and all the Atlanta Braves, now you know why. Now you know why. And that'll be the most exciting thing that's happened to the Braves this season. Just say, well, that and that one time that they beat the Mets to death because Matt Harvey is a wuss. Other than that, yeah, that'll be the most exciting thing that's happened to the Braves this season. So speaking of leagues not understanding their target demographic, not understanding who they are, what their identity is, speaking of leagues doing that, the UFC has lost focus in the worst way. What they're doing with Conor McGregor makes absolutely no sense. They are trying to dangle Conor McGregor out there to get Conor McGregor to fight Floyd Mayweather, right? In what would be the most disappointing super fight in the history of super fights. And by the way, it wouldn't qualify as a super fight. Conor McGregor has no experience in a boxing ring. None whatsoever. Right? And everyone understands how this works. If you take a boxer and put him in an octagon, there's no UFC fighter that a boxer beats. But if you take a UFC fighter and you put him in a boxing ring, there's no boxer that he beats. And there's no way that you ever find Floyd Mayweather in an octagon. Floyd Mayweather makes too much money. He's going to set and dictate the terms of this entire negotiation. And Conor McGregor and the UFC, this is what they want. This is what they think that people want. They think that people want to see Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather fight. And they are neglecting the rest of the UFC. Right? Like the rest of the UFC is happening. And we're without Conor McGregor. Right? Now, part of that was he was on paternal leave because his wife recently had a baby. I get all that stuff. I'm just saying the man is not fighting right now. You are 51 days away from UFC 213. And who is the biggest name on the UFC 213 card? Right? It's not Michael Bisping. It's not George St. Pierre. It's not John Jones because he's out for his steroid suspension, his performance-enhancing drug suspension. So it'll probably be Amanda Nunes, except Amanda Nunes doesn't move the meter a lot. She's good, but people are waiting. Like, Amanda Nunes is going to have to go on a run here. She's going to have to beat up a few people to really start to move the needle for a lot of us. She's not as dynamic as Ronda Rousey was. Like, Ronda Rousey was beating people when she was beating people. Ronda Rousey was beating people very quickly in fights. It was one hit and someone's dropping like a sack of potatoes. It's someone being just rear naked choked in like 45 seconds. It's very dynamic how she was winning, right? Nunes is good, but she doesn't have the same star power that Ronda Rousey had. And without Conor McGregor, the rest of the UFC doesn't really have the star power that Conor McGregor has, right? Like John Jones would have the star power, but the PEDs and the fact that he's just generally acting like a jackwagon in life, you know, with the cocaine thing, the car accident that doesn't make any sense. And then the PEDs in his comeback. So we can't do anything with him and Daniel Cormier. Michael Bisping's got the knee. George St. Pierre has insisted that he cannot fight until November for whatever reason. And then you just got Conor McGregor floating in the wind, who, by the way, even though he was on paternal leave, never stopped going to the gym, never stopped training. So he's still in tremendous shape. You could fix him up in a fight and put him out there right now. You put him on that card, people want to see UFC 213. And the reason why that works out the way that works out is because star power works. Okay? It's the thing that's constant in every sport. College football is more interesting when we all hate Alabama and we all hate Nick Saban. Yes, it is. Sure. You'd like for things to be more wide open so that your team has a chance to win, but dominance matters. Star power matters, right? Like the reason why LeBron James is such a hot button topic every day of the week is because he has tremendous star power. It doesn't seem like he ever loses. It doesn't look like the man is stoppable or guardable in any particular kind of way. And then you look at the Warriors. Why do we always talk about the Warriors? Because, again, they move the needle. They're dominant. Neither of those teams, Warriors or Cavs, have lost in the playoffs since the playoffs have begun. Right? They're still all undefeated. This is what moves the needle. UFC 213 is going to be a dud because there's nothing on there that moves the needle, and we're all holding out hope, apparently, for a Floyd Mayweather-Conor McGregor fight. And I only have one thing to say to you. If what you really want out of life is a Floyd Mayweather-Conor McGregor fight, you're a sucker. That is going to be the worst fight in the history of fights. If it's a pay-per-view and you pay for it, you're a sucker. They duped you into believing that a good thing was happening, and it's not. And you should have known that from the beginning. Like, listen to me. I'm trying to tell you something. I'm trying to tell you something very important. If you feel in your heart that you want to see Floyd Mayweather beat up on a man that does not box, go on ahead. Go on ahead. But you are a sucker if you buy that fight. The UFC needs to focus. They need Conor McGregor to focus on being in the UFC and making it good and boosting the star power by allowing that man to be dominant. And then hopefully the person that knocks him off his throne is also a dominant needle pusher. That sounds sketchier than I intended it to. But the point is, watch with Keon Rose on M1240 and 92.7 FM. The point is, you got to focus. Know what you are and what you're doing.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
Chattanooga's best kept secret, Boyd Speedway. Come see the fastest dirt late model drivers in the South compete for a purse every Saturday night. Pit gates open at 3, grandstand opens at 5. Racing starts at 7. Bring the whole family for a night of fun as they tear it up on the dirt track. Go to BoydSpeedway.net and check out the Dirt Simulator. BoydSpeedwayDirtSimulator.com. Chattanooga's best kept secret, Boyd Speedway. Fun-filled, outrageous racing. We'll see you Saturday night.
The UCRA Crate Late Model Event. Limited late models, crate late models, sportsman, hobby, and street stocks.
Boyd Speedway.
Competent, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a realtor, you want and need Thomas DeMoss of Keller Williams Realty. Thomas is a very gifted realtor who puts the client's needs first. Whether you're buying or selling a home, Thomas is the realtor of choice. Thomas will help and guide you through each step of this very important process. For many of us, the purchase of a home is one of our largest investments and most important family and financial decision. Let Thomas use his 10 years of experience in the Chattanooga real estate market to give you the advantage you need when buying or selling a home. Buying a house? Thomas can help you navigate the emotional and somewhat anxious process of buying a home. For those of you who want to sell a house, Thomas uses his marketing and negotiating experience to help you sell your home for top dollar. Thomas is a local resident, raising his family here in Hamilton County. He knows the area very well. For many agents, real estate is a job. With Thomas DeMoss, it's a passion and what he loves to do. Call Thomas today for a no-obligation consultation. He makes the process as simple as possible. Call 423-364-0028 and visit his website, northriverpropertygroup.com.
Picture that curl of steam rising from your fresh-made pizza. And in a flash, let it take you aloft, teasing all your senses. I'm talking about Jet's Pizza. If you eat out at Jet's in Hickson or take home your steaming deep dish square pizza, you'll love Jet's. They use only the best ingredients in a family recipe. Also try the cheesy bread, wings, chicken, or bread with bacon, antipasta or Greek salad. Jet's Pizza at Buy Low near the S-Curves. Open till 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. You can order online or have it delivered. jetspizza.com. That's jetspizza.com. Or call them now. They'll have it ready when you get there. 757-1616. That's 757-1616.
Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets.
Final expenses, funeral cost, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate cost, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounded greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484.
It is Eric Jones hard into the outside wall, and they are still 3 and 4 wide. It looks like we're racing at Talladega.
Caution flag is out. It looked like Denny Hamlin was trying to get by Ricky Stenhouse. Got into the back of Ricky at the line. Man, that's a close one. Matt Kenseth wins stage 1.
Green checkered flag is out, and Brad Keselowski has won stage 2.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. into the wall. That will bring out the caution. Caution waving once again. And again, it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. involved.
Oh, trouble. Ty Dillon has gotten turned to the inside of the racetrack, and Clint Boyer has just nailed him.
Matt Kenseth falling back, the field storming by. Something wrong. Now we see sparks from Kenseth's Toyota.
Larson chops him off. Coming off turn number 2. Goes to tail. Now it's Logano to the high side in 3.
Joey Logano, a winner here at the Richmond International Raceway.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
The voice of NASCAR.
WBLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga, WSDT Sunny Daisy Chattanooga.
With a special counsel to look into Trump campaign links with Russia.
Believe me, there's no collusion.
It wasn't terrorism, but it was terrible when a driver plowed into a busy New York City crowd.
He's in the middle of Times Square, kind of flipped on the side. Very scary.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Dave Barrett. He's had one day to form his response after the naming of a special counsel looking into the campaign, Russian influence, and more. Correspondent Stephen Portnoy on what President Trump told reporters this afternoon.
At his first news conference in 4 weeks, the president was asked if he urged former FBI Director James Comey to shut down the investigation into his fired national security advisor.
No. Next question.
Standing alongside his Colombian counterpart, the president called the Russia probe a witch hunt.
I think it's totally ridiculous. Everybody thinks so.
What does Mr. Trump think about the decision to appoint a special prosecutor?
I think it divides the country.
On the eve of an 8-day foreign trip, his first as president, he insisted it's time to turn the page.
We have to get back to running this country really, really well.
I'm Steve Dorsey. Some lawmakers on Capitol Hill are pushing back against the president's claim the Justice Department's Russia probe, now led by Robert Mueller, is a witch hunt. Democrat Senator Dick Durbin.
I think that is an outrageous statement. To characterize any undertaking by him as a witch hunt is totally unfair.
Mueller has earned bipartisan support. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham.
The president may not have liked this decision. It was made. I had questions about it. I honor it. You couldn't have picked a better man to do the job.
The FBI is probing former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort, Carter Page, a foreign and policy advisor, and national security advisor, the fired Michael Flynn. CBS's Jeff Pegues says contact with the Russians may go back to April of last year.
A former U.S. government official tells CBS News you could see the hallmarks throughout, including conversations picked up by electronic intercepts. Some of the contacts appeared to be business-related or innocuous, but sources tell CBS News investigators also discovered multiple contacts that were cause for concern.
Who might take the job as FBI director? At the top of the list, former Connecticut Senator Joe Lieberman. Florida Republican Senator Marco Rubio.
I have great admiration for Joe Lieberman, and I think he could do a fine job, but ultimately that's the president's decision to make.
In New York today, right before noon at Times Square.
We heard a big crash. We saw people running away, and we saw people laying on the sidewalk.
Man drove a car into a crowd. A teenager died. 22 others were hurt, 4 of them critically hurt. The driver, Richard Rojas, had several DWI incidents in the past. New York Post says he was trying to commit suicide by cop. Afterwards, said Mayor Bill de Blasio.
There is no indication that this was an act of terrorism.
On Wall Street, the Dow was up 56. NASDAQ rose 43. Now this.
Are you dreaming of a summer vacation? If you want to find the best vacation rental at the best price, it's time to stop dreaming and start booking. Hi, I'm Jen O'Neill.
And I'm Jeff Manheimer.
And we're the founders of Tripping.com, the world's largest site for vacation rentals.
With more than 10 million vacation rentals to choose from, Tripping.com makes it easy to find the perfect beach house, lake house, or condo for your big summer vacation.
And because Tripping.com shows you properties from dozens of sites, we know when you're likely to get the best selection of vacation rentals at the best price. For a dream summer vacation, now is the time.
That's right. Popular destinations like Miami, Myrtle Beach, San Diego, and Lake Tahoe are going fast. But with average prices around $99 per night, you can have your own multi-bedroom home with parking and a pool for way less than you might expect.
So don't miss your chance. Book now to get the best place at the best price in your dream destination. Go to Tripping.com and find your happy place today.
That's TRIPPING.com.
To find the perfect place to stay, go to Tripping.com today.
Might be some commuter blues, says business reporter Jason Brooks, for those who work at Big Blue.
The Wall Street Journal reports that IBM is giving its remote workers an ultimatum: either start coming into the office or quit their job. The Journal says IBM is making the move to improve collaboration and speed up work.
You're sitting there at your laptop. What you want is speed, getting stuff to connect and download quickly. What if internet providers could slow the content offered by rivals? Right now, that's not supposed to happen. The FCC, though, is backing a plan that would repeal net neutrality. CNET Executive Director Roger Cheng on what that might mean to you sitting at your laptop.
By removing some of these rules, I mean, it definitely opens the door for some scary scenarios. I mean, imagine an AT&T or Comcast charging Netflix for higher fees to make sure their video feeds come in to your homes faster. Ultimately, Netflix could take those feeds and turn them around to you.
You're listening to the CBS World News Roundup.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
A SWAT team was called out to Highway 58 in response to a domestic dispute and a shots fired call. Cops say a man retreated into his home and refused to come out, and that's when the SWAT teams and negotiators were called in. CPD public information officer says nobody's in danger and the businesses are not affected. Unsanctioned counterfeit currency appearing in Dunlap. The Dunlap police report that $20 and $10 counterfeit currency appearing on the streets of Dunlap. The Chattanooga Police Department will be performing compliance checks on different businesses around the area to make sure they card individuals to make sure they're 21 before buying drinks. Chattanooga police say a car traveling southbound on Hale Street lost control and turned over, rolling on its side. It took both the volunteer fire department and the Hamilton County EMS to get the driver out of there and extricated. He was taken to the hospital afterward. The extent of his injuries not yet released. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Staying quite warm and humid out there through your nighttime hours. A lingering shower or storm still possible for a while. Lows upper 60s. For Friday, a few isolated morning showers and storms. Otherwise, still very warm and humid. Highs upper 80s. Mainly dry and hot on Saturday. Highs of around 90. Do you have a pesky tree that needs to be removed around your home or business? Call Paul Bunyan Tree Service now at 423-421-2104. That's 421-2104. And I'm Sports 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree? Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM, Nooga Radio. Make sure to check us out on NoogaRadio.com, by the way. That way you'll have access to our Facebook, our Twitter, our YouTube page, all the forms of social media that connect us to you. We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And we also record all of our shows on YouTube, so you can go back and check episodes of local programming that you've missed. You can also go back or drop in and check into us live as well. But if you want to, you can always go back, listen to the interview that I had earlier with Coach Hayden Clark from the Chattanooga Eagles. They're part of the Gridiron Developmental Football League, where they basically help develop players, right? Players who have not made their high school teams or their college teams, and give them a chance to go out there, play football, get reps, get better. There's also a focus on improving them as people, as individuals. Coach Clark seems like a really down-to-earth guy, nice guy. So go out there and support them. They do have a home game coming up this week, Saturday night, 7:30. They're going to be playing at Central High School. Central High School. The game starts at 7:30. Be there. Or be a square, which is the most 90s thing that I could have said, but that, also rhymes. So I couldn't help it. The point is, go out there and support them. Support local sports and local football. Because I don't want to hear people complain about how we don't have anything to watch here. If you're not going out there and you're not supporting Chattanooga FC or the Lookouts, and now we have the Chattanooga Eagles, if you're not going out there and supporting these teams, I don't want to hear about what you are and are not doing, right? And we've also got DeMarcus Rogers, who has put on a number of great boxing performances here in the city. So there's too many options that we have that just for you to say, well, there's nothing here. Just where's our pro sports? It's around. Look, open your eyes. So anyway, I really enjoyed that interview. Got to learn a lot about sort of how that whole thing works, because when it comes to developmental football leagues, I've always thought these sort of independent developmental football leagues sort of should take the forefront. And I feel like this is probably the direction that we're going to wind up going anyway. When we look at at football and, all the talk about how dangerous football can be, you might want to separate those things from your schools and just say, hey, if you want to play football, if you understand the risks of this game, that this game is a game that is physical in nature and that it hurts to play and all of those things, then you go on right ahead. But I feel like this is more the direction that we're headed anyway. A lot of these developmental leagues, and there's a lot of teams in the league, 8-game seasons, 4 home games, 4 away games. This is the first home game rather for the Eagles. So they're going to be playing here at Chattanooga, and we're hoping to get a lot of people out there just to watch and support a local team. So, and also, Coach Clark's one of us. Graduated from Saudi Daisy High School. He's right up the road there. So, yeah, go out there, support this team. I'm very interested in things that repeat. things happen on a loop all the time, right? Like history repeats itself. Nothing's new under the sun, et cetera, et cetera. And like one of the things to note about a conference like the AFC South with the Titans and the Colts and the Jaguars and the Texans is that we've been doing the same storyline for them for the last 2 years, right? I've been working at the station for 2 years. I'm going on to my third off season of football, and we've been doing the same storylines. We've been doing the same storylines for this team. For these teams, rather, right? The Texans are always good, but no quarterback. The Titans, since they've gotten Marcus Mariota, have been on the rise, but he doesn't have enough weapons, and they're still missing a lot in secondary, right? Like just in terms of covering anybody ever. Titans got themselves into a few shootouts last year that didn't have to be shootouts. So they have those problems, and they've always had those problems. Like not enough receivers, not enough defensive backs. And they look like they're about to break, right? Like they're about to make the leap to that next level. They just never actually get there. And the Colts have the same problem that they've had for a while, which is if you took Andrew Luck off of that football team, it would collapse. It's a bad football team. You've got a brilliant quarterback on a bad football team, right? The AFC South could be one of the entertaining, better divisions of football. But that all depends on if everyone is the best version of themselves, right? Like if the best version of the Texans gives us a Tom Savage who's not great, but really competent and allows that defense to shine. If the Colts win enough to look like an actual for real football team, right? And keep Andrew Luck protected so that he's not injured like he has been the last couple of seasons. And maybe give him a weapon or two, or some weapon on that roster emerges for him to use so that they can make some kind of progression. And if for once in their entire franchise, the Jacksonville Jaguars are not confused, because there was a brief second there, a short cup of coffee, in which the Jacksonville Jaguars were actually not a bad football team. Like when they first became a team in the league, they got to be pretty good fairly quickly. And then it all came undone. They haven't been good for about a decade now. And all four of these teams feel like they're just stuck in some kind of time loop. They never seem to solve the one problem that each of them has. And I feel like the Titans, to me, have the potential to be the most devastating because they are the best combination in the entire division of best quarterback and best team around that quarterback, right? Like the Titans aren't elite, like I mentioned before. They have problems in the secondary. They tried to address it in the draft. They drafted Adoree Jackson from USC, who's not the most polished guy, but is a freakish athlete. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play on Sundays. They're working on that. And they got Corey Davis to be a weapon for Mariota. They have the best combination of good team, good quarterback, right? Because the Colts have great quarterback, bad team around that quarterback. The Colts, or the Texans rather, have great team around their quarterback. The quarterback is Tom Savage. And maybe that's a good thing, but we don't know. Tom Savage has made exactly 92 passes in his NFL career. We have no idea how good Tom Savage is or how bad Tom Savage is, really. He looked pretty decent when he started, but that doesn't really mean anything. I want to know over a few starts, how good are you? How good are you? Did the teams figure you out? Did they solve the puzzle of how to beat you, and did you adjust? I'm worried about Tom Savage's arm strength. It doesn't look like he gets a lot of oomph on it, especially on those sideline throws. It looks like they're just barely getting there. I have serious concerns about his arm strength. But yeah, you've got a good team around a guy that's maybe not good. Maybe we don't know, but the odds are not in our favor on that one. And then you've got the Jaguars that are a mess. They've been a mess. every time they draft somebody, that person is a mess. I feel like Leonard Fournette probably breaks the chain on this one, but it's hard to say because they drafted Blake Bortles, and Blake Bortles is flying dangerously low into bust territory. And if Blake Bortles were a bust, then you have to add him to the pile of NFL career carcasses that include the likes of Luke Joeckel and Justin Blackmon. Not to mention Blaine Gabbert, the guy that they drafted at quarterback before they drafted Bortles. It's a mess every year in Jacksonville. Every single year in Jacksonville. They don't ever figure it out. Now, they've got Tom Coughlin down there. He's running the front office now. Maybe there's some sense and some reason and a person with an actual plan in the building to help facilitate some kind of goodness, but I don't know. And it's because it's the Jaguars, I can't trust it. I just can't trust it. Yeah, that's one of those things that's going to be, give it 2 or 3 years, and let me tell you in 2 or 3 years whether or not I think that it is working. Because otherwise, I have no way of telling. Right? Like, I just don't have any way of knowing that. And I refuse to speculate when the market is that up and down. Right? Like, I just can't. I refuse to speculate on whether or not the Jacksonville Jaguars will be any good, or if anybody in the AFC South will be any good next year, right? We saw a lot of long strides from the Titans. They looked better. We saw a lot of strides from the Texans, but again, I can't reliably predict how you're going to be when you have no quarterback. I have no way of predicting that, right? The only good thing that happened to the Texans is they got the Cleveland Browns to eat their Brock Osweiler mistake. That's about as good as that got for them. Everything is repeating in the AFC South, and the only way anybody in this division is going to get ahead is if one of you stops repeating the loop of bad decisions that got you to where you are. Right? And I see the Titans sort of making that the way that they've addressed this in their draft with a couple of guys that really you're going to expect to start day one, right? Adoree Jackson's got to start day one. And Corey Davis also has to start day one. And if Corey Davis is anywhere near as good as we think he can be, because he obviously does have some problems, right? Which is that he'll drop gimme passes. And that's just the result of a guy that's ready to run upfield, and he starts to look upfield before he's got the ball in his hands. It's not like he's got bad hands. He's got bad concentration. You can coach that. That's a coachable thing. So Corey Davis's biggest problem, I don't see it as an unfixable problem. If he's dedicated to working on his game, the focus stuff can be fixed and can be worked on. And then, you know, he's a natural athlete. He's gonna be fairly successful on that front. Yes, he dominated inferior talent, but that guy's still fast, right? And he still runs immaculate routes. So to me, that doesn't matter. There may be an adjustment period, but you know, we didn't hold it against Carson Wentz that he played against inferior talent. We didn't hold it against Randy Moss that he played against inferior talent. So to me, the Corey Davis thing is not as big a deal as people are making it out to be. Clutch with Keon Rose at AM 1240 and NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM. I have another repeating story, by the way, involving Alex Smith. Poor Alex Smith, the guy that got drafted. He was the first quarterback taken in his draft. He got drafted to the 49ers, and the 49ers were awful. And they ran through a string of terrible coaches. And every year, Alex Smith had a different coach and a different coach and a different coach, including one Mike Singletary, who was so big, bad, and scary, he scared the entire locker room into not enjoying football at all, which is, you know, their job. And I feel like at least the one thing about playing a game for a living is the fact that you should enjoy it a little, right? Football's a tough sport. It's a tough game. Injuries are going to happen. Pain is going to happen. Blood, sweat, tears, these things will happen. But it's a game. And if you can't enjoy it, what is the point of playing football? And Mike Singletary somehow managed to make football not fun for anybody in that locker room. So he had to go through all of that stuff. Then Jim Harbaugh shows up. Alex Smith has a heck of a season. And then he gets a concussion. And he gets replaced with Colin Kaepernick. Right? So then He goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid gives him a second chance. And Alex Smith is Alex Smith, right? He is decent. He's not going to be a world beater anytime soon. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He's not going to make the most aggressive throws. He is going to make the most practical play all the time. Prototypical game manager type guy. And there's plenty of room for prototypical game manager type guy in this league, in large part because prototypical game manager type guy is better than what a lot of teams have, which is guy who is bad at playing football. Most teams are that, right? We just talked about the Texans might be that. When the Colts don't have Andrew Luck, they're definitely that. The Jaguars could be that. The Jets are that. The Vikings are that. There's a lot of teams where a guy cannot play football. Like the quarterback is one of the worst players on the team. But you just need to start somebody at quarterback, so you just end up starting a guy that's really, really bad at this game. You'll take game manager over, like what are the Jets doing? You'll take game manager over whatever it is that the Jets are doing. You'll take game manager over whatever it is that the Bears are doing. You will take it, I promise. What are they doing? Alex Smith gives you at least a guy that understands how football works. He's not going to turn the ball over. He's going to give you an opportunity to make plays. But Andy Reid is an aggressive guy offensively, and I feel like Andy Reid's going to want some level of let's go downfield. Let's actually make the defense pay for what mistakes that they end up making. And Alex Smith is not going to do that for you. So they jumped up in the draft. They drafted Patrick Mahomes. I like Patrick Mahomes' arm. I don't like anything else about Patrick Mahomes. I don't like his accuracy or lack of it. I don't like his football IQ. I think he just forces stuff sometimes because, again, he does have the strong arm, so he just wing it. He's a complete gunslinger, and I don't know how I feel about gunslingers in the NFL. We've been sort of trained to believe that gunslingers are great, but really, gunslingers aren't great. They're not. Brett Favre is the only good gunslinger we've ever had in the history of football. John Elway was not a gunslinger. Don't come up here with that Elway. Elway was not a gunslinger. We've only had one good gunslinger in the history of football, and that was Brett Favre. And we got so high on the supply of Brett Favre being a gunslinger, we were looking for another one. Most gunslingers aren't that good, right? Like Matt Stafford is the only good current gunslinger in the entire league, right? Because what happens with gunslingers very often? Gunslingers get injured, and gunslingers cause turnovers. Tony Romo, who I really like and think is a great football player. Tony Romo was a gunslinger. And what was Tony Romo most known for? The back-breaking turnover and getting injured frequently. Like, gunslingers are not great. This is not exactly what you want. You think that's what you want. It's the most entertaining thing you'll ever have on TV when you just got a guy letting it rip, right? Like when Matt Stafford just cuts loose and tosses up a 60-yarder, that is a very entertaining play. Very entertaining. I love to watch the Lions and Matt Stafford play. They might be one of the most fun teams in the league on a weekly basis. If there's nothing happening that I'm interested in on an NFL Sunday, I turn over to the Lions game. I like Stafford. I do. And when Stafford's career is done, Stafford is going to be one of two good gunslingers in the history of football. Because gunslingers either have short careers or short moments when they were actually good, right? Like Dante Culpepper, gunslinger. No, because when you took away Randy Moss from Dante Culpepper, he was awful. Let me say that again. He was awful. Jay Cutler, up and down, he had one good year. When you had him backed by a great defense by the Bears, Jay Cutler looked really good. And then when you took away that defense, as that defense eroded and got older over time and the Bears did Bear things and they didn't replenish the defense, Jay Cutler was awful. Most gunslingers are awful. And I looked at Patrick Mahomes, who is in the very same mold of some of those guys. And look, Texas Tech did not win a whole lot of football games. And there's a reason for that. One, their defense was probably one of the worst defenses in the history of the Big 12, where they don't even play defense. They just arrange 11 guys on one side of the ball and hope that you don't notice that they can't defend, right? So I get that. But at the same time, the other reason why Texas Tech was largely unsuccessful was because Patrick Mahomes sometimes made decisions that made no sense. And they made no sense because he's a gunslinger. He wasn't thinking. If you look at Patrick Mahomes and asked him to look on tape and see what it was that he did, that made no sense. He could not tell you why he did it because he wasn't thinking when he did it. He felt it when he did it. That's a horrible way to go around playing football. And Alex Smith is about to lose his job again to another young, up-and-coming gunslinger. That's what Colin Kaepernick was. That's what Patrick Mahomes is. And poor Alex Smith is about to lose his job to another one of those. Nobody's learned their lesson on this. If there's anything, though, at least I trust Andy Reid with those kinds of decisions. He does know his quarterbacks. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and NoogaRadio.com.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
A SWAT team was called out to Highway 58 in response to a domestic dispute and a shots fired call. Cops say a man retreated into his home and refused to come out, and that's when the SWAT teams and negotiators were called in. CPD public information officer says nobody's in danger and the businesses are not affected. Unsanctioned counterfeit currency appearing in Dunlap. The Dunlap police report that $20 and $10 counterfeit currency appearing on the streets of Dunlap. The Chattanooga Police Department will be performing compliance checks on different businesses around the area to make sure they card individuals to make sure they're 21 before buying drinks. Chattanooga police say a car traveling southbound on Hale Street lost control and turned over, rolling on its side. It took both the volunteer fire department and the Hamilton County EMS to get the driver out of there and extricated. He was taken to the hospital afterward. The extent of his injuries not yet released. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Staying quite warm and humid out there through your nighttime hours. A lingering shower or storm still possible for a while. Lows upper 60s. For Friday, a few isolated morning showers and storms. Otherwise, still very warm and humid. Highs upper 80s. Mainly dry and hot on Saturday. Highs of around 90. Do you have a pesky tree that needs to be removed around your home or business? Call Paul Bunyan Tree Service now at 423-421-2104. That's 421-2104. And I'm Source 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr on Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Need windows? Hey folks, do you need new windows? Good news. Window Depot of Chattanooga has a great special going on right now. 10 high-quality, energy-efficient double-hung vinyl windows installed for only $29.90. That's right, 10 double-hung vinyl windows, only $2,990. And yes, they qualify for the TVA rebates. Call 894-0011. Window Depot of Chattanooga today, located at 5950 Shalford Road. Call 894-0011 today.
If I'm the city's most intelligent man, it's because I take 2 shots of Mind Enhancement Complex every day. Nature's Finest keeps me stocked with my mainstay, Formula 4. That's where I start. Formula 4. Industrial farming, soil depletion, mineral empty foods. I just say no. Ask about supplements, health, stamina, circulation, heart, prostate under control. Get the Nooga Radio David Tulis freebie. Save $2 on every 5. 20% off. Nooga Radio, the highway, nature's finest.
The American dream. Home ownership. Are you building equity for your landlord? Why not build that equity for yourself and your family? Rent No More is a no-obligation, no-cost program. It's designed to teach you the steps necessary and to coach you all along the path to home ownership. Integrity Mortgage Group is owned and operated by local expert Jeff Woody Woodburn. Jeff has been in the mortgage business for over 15 years. Born and raised right here in the Chattanooga area, Jeff is also known as the Lone Ranger. He's helped countless hundreds. Really eager to help you too. So don't wait. Come on, call Danielle right now. You need to reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Nooga Radio is proud to partner with Integrity Mortgage Group to bring you Rent No More. Reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Stop building equity for your landlord. Live the American dream. Home ownership with Rent No More. We'll see you there.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
He stole out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis, you know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling, Rick's buying. Cash, 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 and more cash. And now a mountain of cash catching the Hollywood spotlight. You know where it is, Brainerd Road. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Cash, 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 and national TV cash. That's really big. Everyone wants to see it. Money flying out the door. Rick Davis is America's jeweler. It's better than Hollywood. It's right here. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Brainerd Road.
You love me. You really love me.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern. The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
It's very easy to get on this show and talk about LeBron James. So I've been trying to avoid talking about LeBron James. We kind of have to talk about LeBron James. We kind of have to because last night, LeBron James and Kevin Love combined for 70 points. They dismantled the Celtics, just walked through them. This is the last series that they have before the NBA Finals. And it's because of LeBron that it looks like there's just going to be no opposition whatsoever on their way over there. Brad Stevens, let's give an overview of this, right? Because Brad Stevens, to me, is the second best coach in the NBA behind Greg Popovich. And the reason why the Celtics beat the Wizards last series is a little bit because the Celtics are kind of dirty, but in large part because Brad Stevens is a superior coach to Scott Brooks and simply out-adjusted him throughout the series, right? Took 7 games, but the Celtics don't have better players than the Wizards. John Wall's a better player. Bradley Beal's a better player. Like, I would take the top 3 players on the Wizards over just about anybody on the Celtics outside of Isaiah Thomas, right? Like, if you excluded Isaiah Thomas from the conversation, there isn't anybody on Washington I would not take in their starting lineup. I would not take Marcus Smart or Kelly Olynyk or Al Horford. I wouldn't take any of them. They don't have better players. And yet they won because Brad Stevens is that great of a coach. And you watched the game last night. You watched the Cavaliers and the Celtics last night. And I'm going to tell you something right now, something that you probably already knew. There is no adjustment that Brad Stevens can make for LeBron James. Okay? They did everything. They threw everything at him. And it didn't matter. It can't stop him. It doesn't work. Right? And so I just thought it was humorous because Isaiah Thomas was talking about before the game, well, no one gave us a chance to get this far in the playoffs. And that's true because you started awfully against Chicago. Everyone looked at the series on paper and thought, well, you should lose to Washington. But there's no adjustment you can make for LeBron James. He's the best basketball player we've ever seen. He's bigger, stronger, and faster than anybody else. And what's also crazy is that the NBA all-team list came out yesterday, right? Like the all-NBA first team, second team, and third team. And so LeBron James is supposed to be all-NBA first team, right? Because he's the best forward in the league because he is the best player in the league. All-NBA first team. Well, LeBron James was not unanimously voted All-NBA first team. And it boggles my mind. Who was the clown? Who was the buffoon who voted LeBron James All-NBA second team? And we can get into the other stuff where Russell Westbrook wasn't All-NBA first team. We can get into the other stuff where Kawhi Leonard wound up All-NBA third team, which is an insult into itself. We can get to that stuff too. But let's start with the most ridiculous thing. That it's not unanimous that LeBron James is All-NBA first team at the small forward position. How do you figure? How do you figure? Are you some kind of fool? Are you, like, they should take away your vote. They should take away your vote and throw it away, right? Like the union of basketball writers that gets to vote on this stuff, we should find you, single you out, and just toss it. Like, we need to make the All-NBA first team stuff available so we can see who voted for what person, right? Because part of the reason why Steph got to be the first unanimous MVP was it was pretty obvious the year that Steph was the first unanimous MVP that Steph should have been the unanimous MVP. That, and we're also able to see the media votes. We're able to see who's voting for who and presumably ask them why. Right? Like LeBron didn't have the luxury of that in previous years. Who is the idiot, though, that didn't vote him All-NBA first team? Are you insane? Don't you have eyes? You don't know what's happening on your TV screen? LeBron James every year has been dominating the league. Now, you can argue, look, you can argue, fine, he doesn't deserve to win MVP every year because he doesn't try his hardest at points in the season. And, you know, the Cavs did look bad at a certain point. And I do think that as a regular season award, your team needs to look good. You need to be playing well. They need to be playing well. And it needs to happen all year. That's how you win a Most Valuable Player award. But when we're talking about All-NBA first team, we're not necessarily talking about stats and numbers and all those figures necessarily. We're talking about who's the best guy at this position this year. And the answer to the question of who's the best forward, either one in the NBA, the answer to who's the best at that position every year since he entered the league has been LeBron. Okay, it has. This is not up for debate or conversation. If you decided that you weren't going to vote for him for All-NBA first team, we need to find you, find out who you are, and revoke your vote. You should never be allowed to vote again for anything. You should barely be allowed to vote for president. Like, if this is the judgment you have over a basketball decision, how am I going to be able to trust the judgment you have over who should be the commander-in-chief or your own mayor? We should just find you and just say you lose the right to vote for anything ever again in life. I mean, because it's obvious. Okay, it's obvious. And you watched LeBron last night and what he did to the Celtics. There's no answers for that guy. Right? Like to the point where I picked the Warriors to win the NBA title, like at the beginning of the season, because it's the NBA and you can do that. I picked the Warriors to win because you add Kevin Durant. To me, you just get better. There's no way that a Kevin Durant Warriors team, right, blows a 3-1 lead. This to me is a no-brainer. And I'm worried about the pick that I made because there is not an adjustment for him. Okay? There isn't anybody in the league that guards him and holds him to anything. Right? You're hoping that when LeBron James, when you're guarding him in the NBA, you just hope that his numbers don't get to levels that are lethal for your team. We're not even talking about the guy playing poorly. Like, you're not guarding him to poor play. You're guarding him to the point where there are numbers that just don't look like lethality to your team. Okay? I don't know how you guard that man. He's shooting threes better than he's ever shot threes in his whole career. Okay? He's not afraid of those shots. And I remember there was a point in his career he was afraid of those shots. He wasn't good at shooting it. It wasn't consistent for him. He's gotten better at it. Right? Celtics coach Brad Stevens said he's gotten better now than when I, Brad Stevens, first got into the league. Like, who is this guy? He's 14 years in. He's better now than when he started. He ought to be coming down on the downside of his prime, right? This should be the back nine for LeBron James. The end is obviously in sight. So someone explain to me how he's getting better. And don't give me steroids. Don't give me that. Because he's getting better in terms of accuracy. Accuracy. His true shooting percentage has gone up. His field goal percentage in general has gone up. His three-point shooting percentage has gone up. Every aspect of just being a more accurate shooter has gone up. He's just straight up improved. And people are talking about, well, is it a conversation? LeBron James gets to enter the conversation of who's better than Michael. LeBron James doesn't get to enter the conversation of who's better than Michael. LeBron James is better than Michael. I know nobody wants to admit that. I know nobody wants to say that. I know it hurts to say. Like, I grew up on Space Jam. That was one of my top 3 childhood movies. Me and my brother watched Space Jam so much, we broke the tape. We broke the tape. Okay? I don't want to be the person saying that somebody's better than Michael Jordan. I didn't grow up watching LeBron without ever having seen Michael, right? My first basketball memory is the 1996 NBA Finals against the Utah Jazz. That's my first basketball memory. I remember nothing else first. All right? And I've obsessively watched Michael Jordan. Okay, the games are on the internet. You can find them. You can look at them. I watched the flu game just to watch it. It's one of my favorite basketball games of all time. Some people go home, kick up their feet, and want to watch a movie that they enjoy. I go home, I kick up my feet, and I watch old basketball games. It's what I do. LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan. LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan. Like, if you just look at the two of them, there is no era, by the way, where LeBron wouldn't have been effective. None. Right? Like, we can talk about the eras. There's an era where Steph wouldn't have been this good. It was tougher and it was rougher. There's an era where he wouldn't have been as good. There is no era where LeBron James would not have been this great. None. He's too physically gifted. He's a monster. There's not going to be another LeBron James, okay? Like, there's not going to be, I mean, we said there was not going to be another Michael Jordan, and one generation later, we had Kobe Bryant, who was basically Michael Jordan, the remix. We're not going to have another LeBron. They don't make those. They just don't. That's the last edition. It's a limited edition. Amount made 1. All right. You voted for LeBron James, anything but NBA all-first team, and you need to understand you're a trifling idiot. Who are you? Who are you, person? We need to find this guy. Because I've got some questions. Like about your general competency. Who can I trust you to vote for? If you can't make the obvious decision of LeBron James to NBA all-first team, what else can you vote for in life that I would trust you? I don't want you to vote for president. I don't want you to vote for mayor. I don't want you to vote for your local congressman. For all we know, you'd vote a squirrel into office. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that. So Lane Kiffin's back. because Lane Kiffin is back. He's Lane Kiffin. He never goes away. And Lane Kiffin, to me, is one of those guys. I don't know how to feel about him anymore. I used to hate Lane Kiffin. I always thought he did Tennessee dirty. I always thought that when you go to the NFL and you coach for the Oakland Raiders, a football team that took pride in not being a particularly moral organization, and then they fire you for being a liar. I always thought something was off with Lane Kiffin, and I never liked him. I thought he was some combination of an idiot or a bigger idiot. But Lane Kiffin might accidentally be a genius. Maybe he's a genius on purpose and he was just really good at fooling the rest of us. But Lane Kiffin might be accidentally a genius. Because I don't know if there has ever been a point in the history of Florida Atlantic University where people have talked about Florida Atlantic University this much. Like, if you want to know why Florida Atlantic University would take the risk and hire Lane Kiffin after all the crap that Lane Kiffin has put people through, right? Even Nick Saban didn't want to deal with you for one more week. He fires you the week before the national title game. He could put up with you for 7 more days. He'd rather move on and bring in another guy to be the offensive coordinator, a man who didn't coach necessarily all season long. He was an assistant on the staff, but he wasn't like a coach. He would rather bring in Steve Sarkisian essentially off the street for the last week before the national title game to coach, rather than coach with you a second longer. This is the same Lane Kiffin we're talking about. Right? We're talking about the very same Lane Kiffin where he makes a video trying to pump people up for basically Florida Atlantic athletics. He's trying to pump people up for it. And he could not sound less enthused if he tried. Could not sound less enthused if he tried. Here's Lane Kiffin and on the Florida Atlantic promo. Here it is.
Hey, Owl Nation. This is Coach Kiffin. What an exciting time. Next week is National Signing Day. As we sign some of the best players in America, we need some of the best fans in America. So please join us next week for this exciting season. Come watch the Owls have a great year in a championship run, starting with you. Go Owls.
Why does he sound like that? Does he sound like the head coach of that football team, or does he sound like a man who got kidnapped and forced to read a letter as a hostage? And they were just threatening to cut his head off. That's what it sounds like. That someone kidnapped Lane Kiffin and forced him to read that. But it works, right? It gets Florida Atlantic out there in the open. It gets us talking about them. Lane Kiffin might be the biggest accidental genius in the history of sports marketing. Because Florida Atlantic's never been in the news this much, and it hasn't been overtly negative stuff, right? Like when you want to be in the news, you want to be in the news for positive stuff. But there is a phrase that goes, any publicity is good publicity. Well, in college football, not any publicity, right? If guys are getting arrested, if you've got Title IX violations, if you've got NCAA violations and sanctions, that's not good publicity. That doesn't look good on you. But Lane Kiffin sounding like he's just some kind of kidnapped hostage, that's pretty decent publicity. I mean, it's not bad. It's just weird. Right? Like Lane Kiffin out at a bar trying to pick up college-aged women. It's not bad. It's just weird that he would do that. And Lane Kiffin has now done something else. He has offered a scholarship and gotten a commitment from a 7th grader. From a 7th grader. Now, this has to be some kind of publicity stunt, right? Because if you offer something to a 7th grader, what you're basically saying is, hey, in 5 years, we'd like to see you at Florida Atlantic University. And because there is no paperwork that can be signed, no commitment that can be made beyond a verbal commitment, there's nothing to stop this 7th grader from going anywhere else. Plus, he is a 7th grader, which means he's got some growing to do. We don't know anything else about him. And I've already told you, I sort of frown upon the idea of offering scholarships to people who are not yet even in high school. Can that kid even shave? I'm serious. Can he even shave yet? I don't think he can. Possibly 4 or 5 hairs. It's possible. Lane Kiffin offered that guy a scholarship. And it all gets you just talking about Florida Atlantic. And that's what Florida Atlantic hired Lane Kiffin for. Because it's going to help with recruiting. Right? And I prefer the way that Lane Kiffin goes about it, which is just to be a little bit off. I prefer that to be somebody's cool dad, which is what everybody else does. Right? That's what Mike Gundy does.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
No, you're not, because you wear a mullet and you think it's cool. Dan Mullen does, because he's walking around last year at the SEC Media Days with his Kanye West shoes, the Yeezys, and he just kept pointing to people, hey, look at my Yeezys. Go home, Dad. I mean, I prefer Lane Kiffin's way, because all Lane Kiffin is doing is just being a little off kilter, right? There's nothing wrong with what he's doing. It's just weird. Everybody else is trying to be cool, and it's just not working. Lane Kiffin, he's either doing this on purpose or on accident. But either way, Lane Kiffin might just be the greatest sports marketing genius of our time. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Make sure to check us out on NoogaRadio.com and drop us a line on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Remember, folks, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you in 24 hours.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
Chattanooga's best kept secret, Boyd Speedway. Come see the fastest dirt late model drivers in the South compete for a purse every Saturday night. Pit gates open at 3, grandstand opens at 5. Racing starts at 7. Bring the whole family for a night of fun as they tear it up on the dirt track.